The slap echoed through the grand dining room like a gunshot, the sting blooming across my cheek before I even registered the pain. My sister's hand hung in the air, trembling, her manicured nails catching the chandelier's light like tiny daggers. "You don't deserve the family name," she hissed, her voice a venomous whisper that sliced through the stunned silence. The room smelled of roasted lamb and aged wine, but all I could taste was the metallic tang of blood from where my lip had split against my teeth. Grandpa sat at the head of the table, his weathered face paling, fork frozen midway to his mouth. The others, cousins, aunts, uncles, stared, their murmurs dying like embers in a dying fire. In that frozen moment, fury ignited in my chest, hot and unrelenting, but beneath it lurked something colder, the seed of revenge. I staggered back, chair scraping against the polished oak floor with a screech that set my teeth on edge. My name is Elena Voss, and until that night, I thought blood bound us tighter than any chain. Clara, my older sister by 3 years, had always been the golden child. Poised, ambitious, the one who inherited Mom's sharp beauty and Dad's ruthless drive. Me. I was the quiet artist, the one who painted in the attic while she conquered boardrooms. But this dinner was supposed to celebrate Grandpa's 85th birthday, not unravel the fragile threads of our family tapestry. You bitch," I whispered, my voice cracking, hand pressing to my throbbing cheek. The word felt foreign on my tongue, but the humiliation burned too deep to swallow. Clara's eyes, identical to mine in their hazel hue, narrowed with a satisfaction that twisted my gut. "After everything I've done for this family, you waltz in here, acting like you're entitled to Grandpa's estate just because you share his blood? You're leech, Elena. Always have been." The words landed like blows. Leech. I'd sacrificed my dreams to care for Mom during her cancer battle, while Clara jet-set across Europe, closing deals for the family business. I'd held Mom's hand through chemo, wiped her brow, listened to her final breaths in that sterile hospital room. Clara had sent flowers and excuses. And now, with Grandpa's health failing, the whispers of inheritance had turned vicious. I glanced at Grandpa, Elias Voss, the patriarch who'd built Voss Industries from a single garage workshop into a multimillion-dollar empire. His eyes, sharp despite the wrinkles, met mine with a flicker of something unreadable. Regret. Pity. It fueled the rage coiling in my veins. The room erupted then, aunts clucking like startled hens, uncles clearing throats in awkward discomfort. "Clara, that's enough," Aunt Lydia murmured, but her voice lacked conviction. No one defended me. Not really. They all knew the truth. Clara had been maneuvering behind the scenes, poisoning the well with tales of my instability, my lack of ambition. I'd overheard her once on a phone call. "Elena's fragile, Grandpa. She can't handle the responsibility." Fragile. I'd buried our parents alone while she played power games. I fled the room, the heavy door slamming behind me like a final judgment. Outside, the November wind whipped through the estate's manicured gardens, carrying the scent of damp earth and fading roses. My breath came in ragged gasps, tears blurring the path lights into hazy stars. Humiliation choked me. How dare she strike me in front of everyone? But deeper, heartbreak gnawed. We'd been close once, sharing secrets under blanket forts, dreaming of futures intertwined. When had that soured? When Dad died in that car crash 5 years ago, leaving the company in flux. Or earlier, when Mom's diagnosis revealed Clara's true colors. Absent, calculating. I collapsed onto a stone bench near the fountain, its water tinkling mockingly cheerful. My mind raced, denial warring with resentment. This couldn't be real. Maybe it was the wine, the stress of Grandpa's birthday. But no, the slap was deliberate, a declaration of war. Fantasies flickered. Me storming back in, exposing her secrets. Like how she'd embezzled petty cash from the company to fund her lavish trips. Or the affair with her married boss that I'd covered up to protect the family name. But doubt crept in. Would anyone believe me? I was the outsider now, the one without a corner office. Hours blurred. The party dispersed. Car engines rumbling into the night like retreating thunder. I stayed hidden, nursing my swelling cheek with a makeshift ice pack from the kitchen. When the house fell silent, I slipped back inside, the grandfather clock ticking like a heartbeat in the foyer. Upstairs in my childhood room, I stared at the ceiling, obsession taking root. Revenge. The word tasted sweet and forbidden. Not impulsive, Clara was too smart for that. It had to be calculated. A slow unraveling that stripped her of everything she valued. Power, respect, the Voss name. Morning dawned gray and unforgiving. Grandpa found me in the kitchen, brewing coffee with hands that still shook. His cane tapped softly on the tile, and he eased into a chair with a sigh that carried the weight of decades. "Elena," he said, voice gravelly from years of cigars. "About last night." I poured him a cup, black like his moods. "Don't apologize for her, Grandpa. She's always been your favorite." His bushy brows furrowed. "Favorite? No, child. Ambitious, yes. But ambition without heart is a hollow crown." He sipped, eyes distant. "Your father saw it in her. Warned me. But I thought, family mends its own fractures." The admission stung, a mix of validation and fresh hurt. She hit me. In front of everyone. Called me unworthy. Grandpa's hand tightened on his cane, knuckles whitening. "And you? Do you believe her?" I met his gaze, resolve hardening. "No, but she does. And she'll make sure the world does too." He nodded slowly, as if weighing invisible scales. "Then fight, Elena. But remember, revenge is a blade that cuts both ways." His words lingered, a subtle warning laced with approval. I couldn't tell. As he rose, he paused at the door. "Your grandmother's jewelry box. It's in the attic. She left something for you. A key, perhaps, to more than trinkets." Curiosity pierced the fog of anger. The attic. I'd painted there as a teen, but Grandma's things were off limits, a shrine to her memory. Clara had always coveted those heirlooms. Diamonds, pearls, symbols of the Voss legacy. Was Grandpa hinting at an inheritance? Or something deeper? I waited until he retired for his nap, then climbed the creaky stairs. Dust motes danced in the slanted light from the dormer window, the air thick with the musty scent of old books and forgotten fabrics. Grandma's jewelry box sat on a velvet-draped table, ornate mahogany carved with swirling vines. My fingers trembled as I opened it. Inside, nestled among glittering baubles, was a small envelope. For Elena. It read in Grandma's elegant script. Heart pounding, I tore it open. A key tumbled out along with a letter. "My dear Elena, if you're reading this, the family shadows have grown long. This key opens the safe in my study. Inside, proof of Clara's indiscretions. Documents your father gathered before his accident. Use wisely. Love, Grandma." Proof. My breath caught. Dad's accident. Officially a drunk driver, but whispers of foul play had circulated. Had Clara? No, that was paranoia. But the key burned in my palm, a talisman of potential justice. Downstairs in Grandma's dusty study, now a guest room, I found the safe hidden behind a portrait of her smiling face. It clicked open with a soft snick. Inside folders. Bank statements showing unauthorized transfers from Voss Industries to Clara's personal accounts. Emails detailing her sabotage of competitors. Illegal, unethical. And a report from a private investigator. Photos of Clara with Dad's business partner. Timestamps days before the crash. Motive. Control of the company. My stomach churned. Heartbreak mingling with cold fury. She'd betrayed not just me, but our parents. Obsession flared brighter. This wasn't just revenge. It was restitution. But doubt whispered. Was I ready to destroy her? Guilt tugged. She was still my sister. Memories flashed. Us giggling over ice cream, her defending me from school bullies. When had it twisted? Moral conflict raged as I hid the files in my room. I couldn't act rashly. Slow burn, that's how I'd do it. Plant seeds of doubt. Erode her alliances, make her question her sanity before the final strike. That afternoon Clara called, her voice saccharine over the phone. "Elena, darling, about last night. I was stressed. The company's in turmoil. Forgive me." Natural, manipulative. I forced a tremble into my reply. "Of course, sis. Water under the bridge." But inside, resentment simmered. I'd play the wounded dove, lulling her into complacency. Days blurred into weeks. I returned to my apartment in the city, a cozy loft overlooking the bustling streets where horns blared and rain pattered against windows like impatient fingers. By day, I painted, dark abstracts swirling with reds and blacks, channeling my turmoil onto canvas. By night, I pored over the files, piecing together Clara's web. She was positioning herself as Grandpa's successor, schmoozing board members with dinners and gifts. I'd attend those subtly dropping hints. "Clara's so dedicated, almost too much, don't you think?" At a family brunch, tension crackled like static. Clara, impeccable in a tailored suit, chatted animatedly with Uncle Harold about expansions. I sat quietly, nursing coffee, until she turned to me. "Elena, you look rested. Still painting those little pictures?" Suppressed rage boiled, but I smiled sweetly. "Yes, it's therapeutic. Helps with the humiliation." The word hung, drawing uneasy glances. Grandpa watched, his eyes twinkling with unspoken alliance. Later in private he confided, "She's overreaching. The board's noticing." Encouragement or manipulation? His motives layered, protecting the legacy, perhaps using me as a pawn. But I didn't care. Planning consumed me. Anonymous tips to the board about discrepancies, forged in Dad's handwriting from the files. Fear nipped. What if it backfired? Moral grayness loomed. Was I becoming like her? One evening, alone in my loft, rain lashing the windows, I drafted the first email. Heart racing, fingers hovering over send. Session 1. Click. The die was cast. Suspense built slowly. Clara's calls grew frantic. "Elena, have you heard anything? Rumors at work." Innocent replies. "No, why?" Inside, cold resolve solidified. The game was on. The boardroom smelled of polished leather and stale coffee, the kind that lingers after hours of heated debate. I stood outside the frosted glass doors, ear pressed close, heart hammering like a war drum. Inside, Clara's voice rose, sharp and defensive. "These allegations are baseless, fabricated by competitors, or worse, family traitors." A murmur rippled through the room, chairs creaking as bodies shifted uncomfortably. It had been 2 months since that fateful slap, and my slow unraveling of her empire was bearing fruit. Anonymous emails, leaked documents, each a precise cut, bleeding her credibility drop by drop. But tonight was the crescendo, the moment where revenge transformed from shadow to strike. I slipped inside unnoticed, taking a seat in the back row. The Voss Industries headquarters towered over the city, floor-to-ceiling windows framing a skyline ablaze with twilight hues, orange bleeding into purple like a bruise fading. Grandpa presided at the head, his face a mask of stern impartiality, though I caught the subtle nod in my direction. Clara paced, her heels clicking like gunfire on the marble floor. "Who benefits from this smear campaign?" "Not the company, certainly not me." Uncle Harold cleared his throat, papers rustling. "Clara, the evidence is damning. Transfers to offshore accounts, ties to that investigator's report on your father's accident." Her face paled, a crack in the facade. "Lies. Elena, she must be behind this. She's always resented my success." All eyes turned to me. I met her gaze steadily, humiliation from that dinner fueling my poise. "Resented? Clara, I've only ever supported you. But if there's truth in these claims..." I trailed off, letting implication hang like smoke. The room tensed, air thick with unspoken accusations. Inner conflict raged within me. Guilt for the sister I'd once loved, doubt if this destruction was justice or obsession run amok. But resentment won. Her betrayal had scarred too deep. Flashbacks assaulted. Mom's frail hand in mine, Clara's empty chair at the funeral. No, this was deserved. Grandpa banged his gavel lightly. Enough. We've reviewed the files. Clara, you're suspended pending investigation. Her scream echoed raw and primal. You can't. Grandpa, after everything. He fixed her with a steely glare. You don't deserve the family name. The words, an echo of her own cruelty, landed like a hammer. Then softer. Then neither do you. No, child. You've forfeited it. She whirled on me, eyes blazing with fury. You did this. You pathetic. Security, Grandpa called, and 2 guards escorted her out, her protests fading down the hall like a receding storm. Relief washed over me, mingled with hollow victory. Was this revenge? It felt incomplete, a band-aid over a gaping wound. As the meeting adjourned, board members filing out with murmured condolences, Grandpa beckoned me to his side. Well played, Elena. But there's more. More. My pulse quickened. In his office, overlooking the glittering city lights that twinkled like distant stars, he handed me a folder. Your grandmother's final wish. The estate, it's yours. Including the company shares. Shock jolted me. But Clara. She was never meant to inherit. Your father knew her flaws. The accident. It wasn't random. His voice cracked, revealing layers. Guilt for favoring Clara, regret for the family fractures. Evidence inside. Recordings of Clara arguing with Dad days before the crash, threats veiled as jokes. She'd tampered with his brakes. The revelation twisted like a knife. Heartbreak anew. My sister, a murderer. Obsession peaked. Revenge wasn't enough. Exposure was. But moral conflict surged. Destroying her meant destroying the last remnants of family. Fear gripped. What if it consumed me? That night, in my loft, rain pounding like accusations, I confronted her. She arrived uninvited, soaked and wild-eyed. You think you've won, she snarled, stepping inside, dripping on the hardwood. Dialogue crackled with tension. Clara, why? Mom, Dad, was power worth their lives? She laughed bitterly, collapsing onto the couch. You don't understand. Dad was going to cut me out. Mom favored you. I had to protect myself. Confession. Or manipulation. Her voice softened, revealing complexity. I loved them. But survival, it's brutal in this family. Suppressed rage boiled over. You slapped me. Called me unworthy. But you're the monster. She rose, eyes pleading now. Help me, Elena. We can fix this. Sisters. Doubt flickered, could I forgive? But cold resolve hardened. No. It's over. I called the police anonymously later, tipping them off with the files. Arrest came swiftly, headlines screaming. Voss heiress charged in family scandal. The twist hit at Grandpa's funeral, months later. His heart finally giving out under the strain. In his will, read in that same dining room. Everything to me, but with a codicil. To Clara, forgiveness if she seeks it. To Elena, the burden of legacy. Poetic justice. Or curse. As I stood alone in the empty house, echoes of laughter long gone, unexpected consequences weighed. Revenge had freed me, but isolation gripped. Was I now the unworthy one, poisoned by the same ambition? In the mirror, my reflection stared back. Hazel eyes like hers hardened. The family name, a crown of thorns. Heartbreak lingered, but so did resolve. I'd rebuild, but the scars. Eternal.